They say the biggest explosions in the corporate world happen in complete silence. I watched my boss Vance chew his gum with arrogant satisfaction while he dismantled my entire career in front of 20 executives. He openly stated that my Ivy League diploma meant nothing because his inexperienced son Connor was taking over my department next quarter. Nobody in that room spoke up to defend my position. The heavy silence inside the boardroom was broken only by the rhythmic tapping of a silver pen against the wood table. It felt like a cheap metronome counting down the final seconds of my employment. I sat perfectly still while my mind calculated the exact financial exposure of the company. I refused to let them see even a single flinch of frustration. For 9 long years, I had been the invisible anchor holding the complex digital infrastructure of this organization together. The deep scar on my left thumb was a permanent reminder of the midnight system crashes I resolved.
Completely alone during intense corporate mergers, the new management team only valued shallow PowerPoint presentations filled with trendy buzzwords and empty promises. Instead of arguing with Vance during his public tirade, I simply reached down and activated a small recording device attached to my briefcase. The systematic disrespect had been escalating for months through ignored compliance briefs and sudden budget audits. HR had done absolutely nothing to stop the quiet cuts to my department resources over the last fiscal year. The leadership team altered my title to Process Lead of Legacy Oversight to isolate me 5 steps away from anything that actually mattered. They assumed I would resign out of sheer frustration, but they failed to understand complex digital frameworks. Real systems do not collapse instantly because they rot slowly and quietly from the inside out. On a rainy Thursday morning, the Human Resources Director summoned me to formalize the immediate transition of my technical duties. Vance informed me with a smug smile that his son Connor needed my office right away to modernize our operations. I calmly handed my security access badge directly to HR without uttering a word of complaint. I walked out to the parking garage knowing a hidden digital safeguard was already running in the background of the server room. Weeks prior, I had embedded an automated compliance protocol deep within the core infrastructure updates. If my management credentials disappeared during a sensitive transition period, the system would automatically trigger a massive liability transfer. The following Monday morning, Connor arrived at the office displaying a total lack of technical competence. He immediately discarded my detailed architectural blueprints and canceled essential vendor review meetings because he claimed they were a waste of time. He told the engineering team that simplicity was the only metric that mattered, while he deleted critical configuration archives. Within 48 hours, the automated infrastructure began rejecting the amateur modifications introduced by the new management. Internal databases locked out senior developers, and customer service applications began duplicating technical errors continuously. My former deputy, Gideon, sent a private message to report that the team had completely lost the master schema for the platform. The internal chaos escalated further when the building security network suffered a massive administrative failure. Executive staff members found themselves completely locked out of the primary operational floors because Connor tried to override the access controls. He publicly blamed my original design documentation instead of admitting his own profound technical ignorance to the staff. A thorough compliance officer named Harriet that a critical federal audit deadline was approaching rapidly. She formally inquired if the new management team possessed the required documentation to pass the strict regulatory review. Vance dismissed her urgent concerns in a brief email, stating that they were running agile now and did not need old processes. External engineering partners from Zenith Solutions abruptly walked off the job due to 29 days of unpaid invoices. Connor had deliberately ignored the payment approval matrix because he claimed the third-party vendors were draining company resources. The departing engineers stated clearly that leadership decisions were the sole cause of the operational collapse. At exactly 3 p.m, the automated digital protocol completed its silent background countdown. The system detected the unauthorized removal of my engineering signature during the protected transition window without the required certifications. A comprehensive 17-page liability report
was immediately routed directly to the high-level board of directors. The detailed file outlined every architectural vulnerability, financial risk, and regulatory compliance failure introduced by the recent management changes. It explicitly transferred all legal and operational accountability away from my name and directly onto Vance. The executive remained completely oblivious to the digital trap until a sudden notification arrived on his computer. An urgent company-wide announcement confirmed that Chairman Arthur Sterling was arriving in person for an immediate emergency investigation. The lo-fi music playing in the office of Vance was silenced by sheer panic as executive leadership scrambled for answers. The empire they attempted to build on my silent labor was fracturing under regulatory scrutiny. I spent that beautiful afternoon tending to my garden, far away from the corporate stress and fluorescent lights. My phone continued to flash with desperate messages from former colleagues and managers seeking urgent technical assistance. I learned that sometimes the most satisfying way to prove your true value is to step away and let the unprepared face the machine alone.